UGC is one of the most powerful marketing forums I've ever come across. And I've had a lot of years of practicing and kind of delving into a ton of different things. UGC though is amazing. It's hard to explain, mostly because to the layman person, it looks so natural. It's just somebody on camera, but there is no better way to help a human understand and realize for themselves what a product will do without seeing it on somebody else's face. So yeah, use it. If you haven't tried it, use it. UGC is so, so big for sure.
Episode 26, people. I can't believe we've made it this far, and we have a special one for you. Coming straight from Fort Collins, Colorado, Sarah Levinger, the queen of the DTC, the freelance creative. How are you, Sarah?
So nice. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm home in Austin. I'm starting to get a little bit in my routines. We're got the South by, the city's vibing. Life is good. Life is good.
That sounds fantastic. I kind of wish we were in Austin because the weather in Colorado changes so quickly. Last week we were like freezing, snow everywhere. This week it's 65. People are in shorts outside. That's Colorado for you. It just changes constantly.
I got to tell you though, it's one of my favorite states. How are you born and bred there, or how long have you been out there?
My husband says that I cannot call myself a native because I wasn't born here. I was born in actually Huntsville, Alabama, but I've been here since I was six or seven.
Okay.
So I'm long enough, like a native.
I mean, that's a native. Yeah, that's a native. I think Texas, the requirements are 10 years, some shit kickers and a gun, and then you're officially a Texan.
Then you're actually a Texan. You guys have like a legit criteria for it though. In Colorado, it's just you're either born here or you can't stay here. So that's how it goes.
Brutal.
We're
you guys have that
Colorado.
That little triangle is pretty dope though. With you guys at Fort Collins, Denver, I'm blanking, Boulder. That kind of cool little triangle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just cool. It's beautiful out there. Again, I love it. What made you come from the South?
I mean, my family just moved here. Yeah, because I was 6, so I didn't really have a choice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my parents came out here when I was younger, just because of my dad's job, and from there we just never left. And really, we've been sticking pretty close. My husband actually, his in-laws live right next door to us. Oh, wow. So he didn't go far. They purchased a house 35 years ago, and he born, raised, grew up all in the same house. They still live there. And then obviously we went super far. We went right next door. So clearly we're like Fort Collins forever. Cause it's hard to leave this town. Once you get in here, it's really hard to leave.
I love it. Well, it takes a village too, right? Cause you got two little ones. So that is probably pretty helpful to have the extra hands around as you were raising the kiddos. Yeah,
100%. Especially right now with everything that happened with COVID and being in quarantine, it was like life-saving to have grandparents next door because they were just like a part of our bubble. So they could at least go to grandma's house every day and we could get some like rest and breaks and it was so necessary. It's just helpful in general to have people around. Like I just, to the mamas who do it all themselves, I'm like, how? You guys are so much stronger than I am. I just like, it's intense parenting right now in the world. So grandparents, thank you.
Shout out grandparents. Let's go. So take me a little bit about, how did you get into DTC? How did you get into the creative space? You have kind of a very unique journey, so kind of color it in for the listeners.
Yeah, so I actually started my freelance journey when I was pretty young, like way before it was actually cool to be an entrepreneur. I tried to go to college and it just did not work for me. I enjoyed the classes, but it just moved too slow. I'm a fast-paced person, really fast-paced learner. So when I got into college, I started doing classes specifically for graphic design, and I had a professor that said, you don't really need a college degree to be a graphic designer. If you have some talent in it and if you have a lot of good drive and dedication to it, you can basically just go get clients and you won't have to get a full degree. So that's what I did. I just went and I actually got an internship right out of I think it was my sophomore year in college. And the only reason they hired me was because I dressed up for the interview, which is kind of funny. It was like,
pro tip, kids.
Because I was a good designer, that's fine. I'll dress up for every interview. So they hired me, and it was a giant, huge company. They made water testing instruments. And so my job was basically brand strategy. I had to make sure that everything that went out the door said the correct message that they wanted to push forward to their audience. So a large portion of what I was doing for them was just graphic design straight and, cut and dried graphic design. But a huge part of it was just making sure that everything looked the same, basically. So it was a really good lesson in learning brand from the beginning. From there, I worked just about 2 summers for them, and then they decided to cut my position, which kind of sucked because I really loved it. But the creative director at the time came to me and said, "You don't really need to work as an employee. You could just go start your own business, and then you can come back and we'll just hire you as a contractor." And at the time, I was 22, so I was like, "I don't know how to do that." I was like, okay, I'll give it a valiant effort. I'll try my hardest to create. How do you create a business? I don't know. So back at that time, there was no, like, LegalZoom was just starting to get popular. So I just went online and was like, how do you create a business? And then from there, it just like exploded. For the next 10 years straight, I worked in everything. I mean, I did all kinds of email marketing, and I did WordPress websites for a while, and I did wireframing, and I did lots and lots of things. Like I did SMS. I did all kinds of stuff. I even ran a whole bunch of my own little businesses. So I had an Etsy shop, and I did Amazon FBA, and I did just all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was really fun, but man, it taught me a lot about freelancing in particular. For one, is a tough industry. It's really interesting to get into. You got to be very organized to be a freelancer. But then it also taught me a lot about marketing using different channels, because I did a ton of different stuff. So I kind of segued into social media, kind of mid-20s, and I was doing social media management for a long time. So lots of Pinterest, lots of blogs, lots of SEO content. From there, I kind of just stumbled into managing Facebook ad accounts for specifically lead gen, primarily in Jackson Hole area. There was a lot of hotels up there that needed people to just bring in customers, basically, specifically for their like large group sales. So I started running the ad accounts for that. And over the course of the last like 2 or 3 years, I just sort of accidentally segued into ECOM. And from there, it was like, I am hooked. As soon as I got into ECOM, I was like, this is where I want to be. Because this is the fastest paced industry I think I've ever stepped foot into. And I have just been going hard ever since. It's so fun. It's like the most fun I've ever had marketing anything is in DTC. So that's kind of the background. It's real weird. Real weird path to get here.
I love weird journeys. And I always find too that the weirder the journey, if you make it out, is the stronger the person, where you get to experience all these other things. And one, for me, it eliminates the FOMO, where you can always have this weird, like, grass is always greener kind of view, where it's like, dude, it ain't. I've been there. It ain't.
like
move
freelancing
on.
is hard to work with some tough clients and some fantastic clients. And then, the whole thing is you are the bookkeeper and the accountant and the marketer, and you're doing the work and you're doing you're doing all of it at one time. So yeah, it's been a good journey. I love it. I would never leave freelancing to go to a real job. I don't think. I don't know. I haven't decided on that one yet, but for the most part, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
That's really cool. And I think freelancing, I mean, it is a feature and a bug, but being able to work with the different clients, and then especially in DTC, it's really nice because it's really cut and dry. I've come from some lead gen, some app install stuff, and like it just gets into complex businesses and like how to show your efficacy, and like it's just hard, where it's like DTC is like, did we make more money today or not? Yeah, we did. Good job, Sarah. You know what I mean? Or
I know. I'm like,
do better, Sarah. Like it's
exactly.
It's just much easier to have that clean line into that. When you were doing all this stuff, so it sounds like you leveraged the Googs pretty heavily, but were there any like resources or frameworks, or like how did you go from basically, being let go and then spinning up your shop that's still vibrant today?
Oddly enough, I am a huge learner, even though I started out not loving like the college route. So the majority of what I learned was all through Google, but a ton of it's through the library, oddly enough. I use my library card way more than I probably should.
Awesome.
Books on books on books. And it's really interesting because I've found a very small subsection of people who actually go to the library and like read large scale books. But I don't know. I can synthesize information much better if it's in a bulk form. I find the internet to be too truncated. Like it's just chopped, so much chopped information. And it's very difficult to get like a good grasp on things unless you're reading like a textbook, which sounds
the
boring.
Irony. But it's
Exactly.
just the funny where like academia wasn't for me, but yet you went to the library to find the academic books, which is
I feel
amazing.
like, I'm like a self-motivated person though. I would much rather give me the book and I'll read it in the 3 days and then I'll tell you everything you need to know. So that was a huge portion of where I started learning. But another one was my my in-laws actually owned a boutique hotel in Fort Collins called the Armstrong Hotel. They don't own it anymore. They actually sold it about 5 years ago, but they owned it for 13 years. So it was like, it was a family business. They went hard at it. And all of us worked there. My husband, his two brothers, I worked there. Like the whole family worked there at one time. And I learned a ton from them. That they're the type of people that are just like, everything they touch is entrepreneurship gold. They just,
Yeah.
I can't even, there's some people that just are like that. Everything you do is
100%.
amazing. So they had this business for a long time and they hired me on to do like sort of doing the directing of marketing and their social media management. And they had a very different way of looking at inbound and outbound customer like acquiring. Their entire business was based off of what is the basic things you need and how can we make those basic things better. And so I took that marketing framework and just applied it to everything. Like anything I could put it into, I did. And it worked. It worked extremely well. And it's interesting because I didn't know at the time, but what they were doing was using some very base level psychological needs and applying it to every experience in the entire hotel. And they did so well. I mean, their rates for occupancy were upwards of like 96, 97%, which is pretty unheard of for hotels, especially boutique hotels. It's hard to book sometimes in those towns. They were lucky enough they were in Fort Collins. So that helped them a lot because this town is pretty popular tourist destination. But yeah, so the library and my in-laws, really, their business helped a lot.
Well, that is the most unique answer. I love that. And yeah, I have a soft spot for libraries as well. So my dad actually didn't know any English when he came over here. He's from Algeria.
Whoa.
And so he came over around 1819 and basically just taught himself English and by going to the library. And I'm going to date myself because I'm old. I'm 36 going on 37. But I still remember going to the library and they'd have these newspapers on these big wooden sticks. The kids will never know these days, but you know what's up. And I just remember, and it was just so like perplexing to me, like, why are on these sticks? So they don't steal them, son. It was incredible. But I hate taxes, but I don't mind my taxes going. We have actually a beautiful in Austin. The Central Library just got built 2 or 3 years ago, and it's absolutely magnificent. I have a soft spot for libraries. Dope central libraries or well done libraries is something. And I take your point too. I think there is a little bit of not clickbaity, but I think truncated is a good descriptor of sometimes, you know, if you do want to get all of the info, it can be a little more challenging sometimes versus somebody that just put a treatise in their book and it's like, okay, cool, you can read it from cover to cover and stuff like that. But you also said something really interesting too, is you're self-motivated, where I know a lot of talented people that are not, and freelance ain't for you, baby. If you can't be your own boss, oh my goodness, that ain't the path. You will shrivel on the vine very quickly.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, what advice would you give to aspiring freelancers that you wish you had?
Oh, I just saw this actually on Twitter the other day, and the advice that I would give is understand that the path that you think you're going to take is not the path that you're going to take. Because the majority of people give advice on just keep going or find a good mentor, yada, yada. But I want everybody to know, if you're going into freelance, understand that you're going to fall into things that fit you better than what you think will fit you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I thought for sure that I was like built for logos. I just wanted to design logos all day long because I love them. And what I actually ended up falling into was, you know, running ads, UGC, creative for DTC brands. And I love it way more than I ever loved doing any sort of graphic design work. So yeah, the journey you're going to take is not what you think it's going to be, but it will be better in the end. It's going to be phenomenal no matter what happens. So.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. Steve Jobs has a great line. You can't connect the dots forward, only backward. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Especially too, as you're younger, I think the path you took of experiencing all these different business models, and I think that's really helpful for people, especially if you can, you know, take it economically, because you're going to come out with such a robust understanding of like there's a expression, the map's not the territory. And so people will tell you like, oh, this, that, the other. And then you like experience it. It's like there's theory land and then there's actual what the world's like. And
Yes.
very often they are so far apart. And so
Yeah.
understanding that is, it's beautiful. I love how you put that. Okay, two more questions and then we'll wrap up the first segment. How do you balance being a mom and a freelancer?
Oh, I, um, my gut reaction is to say I don't. um, let me get a better reaction. Yeah, this one's a tough one, and I've found this with a lot of moms who are, especially in the direct to consumer space. Anybody in ECOM who is a mom struggles heavily because this is one of the only industries I have seen that is 24/7, 365 days a year. There's no breaks. There's no holidays. It's forever. And in fact, it gets worse at the holidays. So get ready. I think you have to create a lot of structured time blocks in your day. That's the only way I've been able to manage it so far, especially if you don't have any sort of childcare assistance help. You're going to have to set down times where you do the same thing every time at the same time of the day. So for me, I always get up at 6 a.m. It's early and I hate it, but I always work out for an hour no matter what, because it will not get done for the rest of the day. Yeah. And then I'll get the kids up, get them ready for school, get them out the door, come home. Then I'll usually run through emails for 30 minutes and, so on and so forth. But it's the same every day, even on the weekends, no matter what. I just continue to keep doing it because anytime I get off balance, I fall hard. And then it takes a week to get back on. And it's just, by that time I have clients who are like, where's my stuff? Like, I need you to get this to me. Why are you late? Like, yeah, it's structure. It's all about creating some sort of calendar structure for yourself.
Ooh, I love that. I'm a big time blocker myself, and there's a great app called AccuFlow that anytime I start something in my Gmail, bookmark something in Slack, or have a task assigned to me in Asana, that's kind of our tech stack here at Triple, it goes into this little app, and then I can then drag it into my calendar, because I've found the same thing. Like, I die in a vacuum. Like, if you tell me like, oh, what are you going to do today? Oh, I'm just going to figure it out. Like, I will literally just waste my day. I just die in a vacuum. And so my day is literally from when I get up to when I go to sleep. Like, I even, this sounds very cold, but I book time with my significant other, because if not, I'll just work. And I need to make sure that I'm showing up in that relationship as well. Yeah. I love that idea. I know some people aren't super on the structured train. I am 3 tickets with you.
It's so necessary.
So necessary for me. Yeah. And honestly, in a weird way, the structure gives me freedom. And that kind of sounds like an oxymoron. Thank you. But it really helps when I don't have to make decisions. I just have to check boxes or complete tasks. I'm just a happier guy versus, I mean, again, going back to Jobs, like, he wore the same thing every day, not every day, as a flex or anything like that, but it was just to remove the choice from his life so he could use that cognitive firepower in other things that were more higher value tasks. I absolutely love that. Yeah. Okay, Sarah, last one for the main segment. What's the nicest thing someone's done for you?
My gosh, there's so many nice people. This is going to be a hard one. I think the nicest thing someone has ever done for me is ask me how I'm doing. Aw. Yeah. Like, I could talk about like all the gifts and things people have given me, but it really, for me, it comes down to like, ask me how you're doing in a real sense, not just like, how's your day? Cause it's very different. Yeah. But my husband in particular asked me very often, like, how are you today? Like, checking in, what's your mental state like? And that, it just helps a ton, because some days I forget to think about myself, because I'm a mom and I've got clients and I've got all these things to do. But yeah, so note to everybody, ask somebody how they're doing today from a real standpoint. How are you? Yeah,
in a sincere, actually want to hear from them. I love that. All right, shout out Sarah's husband. Hubby points here. Here we go. One for the guys. I love it. Okay, let's jump into the value add segment. This is why the people bought the ticket. We'll get kind of nerdy here. What are the best parts and hardest parts of being a freelancer?
Best parts is you get to create your own schedule, which is obviously everybody talks about that. Best part for sure for me is the fact that I am in control of my destiny. I can make as much or as little money as I want. Any month, if I need to take more time off, I can. I also get to choose who I work with, which is fantastic. Those two are very, very important to me, because sometimes you'll meet somebody and you think they're a good fit and they just aren't. And you have the capacity to say, I'm a contractor, freelancer. It's kind of my prerogative, and I get to choose who I do business with. Hardest parts. We've talked about this a little bit, obviously, but like keeping yourself on track, always producing, always making sure you're delivering on what you're promising to deliver on is very hard because it does take a lot of self-motivation, like I said. So if you're the type of person that's motivated, like from outside sources, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than if you're just motivated internally. One of the other things that's extremely hard about being a freelancer is it's very inconsistent. Even if you have consistent clients, sometimes they just don't have the work. Or for instance, like at the end of the year, as soon as we hit into Black Friday, I am like 60, 70-hour work weeks, just constantly going. And then as soon as we hit January, unless you're in the health industry, you don't really have a whole lot going on. Yeah, good and bad. It balances out.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. I'm glad you touched on the economics of it because I did a little bit of freelancing in my younger years. And that was the biggest challenge because when I was younger, I really didn't have let's just say nicely, a good grasp on solid economics for personal finances. And so there would be these feast and famine periods, right? Where you're just like, everybody wants you. And then there's like 2 months of just like, how the hell am I going to pay for stuff? Like nobody needs work. Does anybody need work? Rent? Hello, pick me, pick me. So I think that's something is definitely really astute to bring up because it's a real thing. And it's kind of that feature and a bug, right? Where because you are kind of this really easy, amazing person to plug into the system, sometimes it can be, the first to go. And so I think that's a really great point. I love that. Speaking of really great point, I also love the point about saying no. And so this is obviously like, for me, that was one of the big inflection points is the ability to say no. And obviously you take work when you need it kind of thing. Like there's that is a privilege and a luxury to get to that point. But once you get to that 100%. Point, it can be transformative. What do you look for when you're evaluating a client as a good fit or maybe not the fit?
Yeah. Well, for me, I think it's a little bit different than most people. Most people have kind of a checklist that they go down, how much money you're bringing in as a DTC brand, what kind of margins do you have on your product? Do you already have a good spend every month for Facebook ads? I do check all of those things just to make sure that we're a good fit from a technical standpoint. But for me, it's more of a vibe. Like if we get on the phone and it's just like a little strange, then usually I have enough, I have enough bandwidth to be like, let's give it a few days and I'll get back to you. And usually I send my portfolio just so they can look at it. But for the most part, within those 2 days, I can tell from a gut feeling, like, I just don't think that we're a good fit. Not that they're like not a good client, but they're just not a good client for me, So
I love that.
Yeah. Most times.
Is there any kind of red flags or anything like that? Like the red flag tweet where you're like, because to your point, like this isn't a judgment on these clients or these prospective clients. It's just to your, like when you get to a certain place, like you're at, the ability to choose who you partner with is really important because not only is it helpful to you, it's also helpful to the client because you're going to do better work. And so again, this isn't a judgment, but just kind of poking the bear, a little bit of a gossipy. Is there any red flags where you're just like, ooh, this one's not for me?
Yeah. The biggest red flag I've seen, I guess there's two sides to the red flags. There's red flags from customers that are coming in that you don't already work with. And then there's red flags from people that you do work with.
Ooh.
Red flags from people I don't work with yet, or like prospective clients, are almost always if you are messaging me a lot. If it's just like, hey, can I work with you? I have a need for this. Can you contact me? Like yada, yada, yada. Too much contacting makes me go, ooh. Mostly because like I'll get to you. I promise I'm going to get to you. It's just I have a billion and one things to do, and I have a time block. I have a time block for answering messages back, and we're not at that time block yet. For people that I work with, sometimes it gets a little difficult when they start asking questions about things that I have already explained, and that tends to happen sometimes. So there's a little leeway there, but if I start hearing the same questions over and over, to me, that's a value prop issue. Like I either didn't explain it well enough to begin with, which I try really hard not to do, or you don't understand the value of what I'm providing, which is a red flag. We have a communication issue. So yeah.
Dude, those are great. Those are absolutely great ones. I think that's exactly spot on where I found that the exact same thing when I was in my freelancing career where if you start getting one to the former when people are just pestering you yeah, there's just that joke of like, I'm going to give you $1,000 a month and I want you to sign this contract in blood and I
Yeah.
want you to know
It's
that.
just,
And then you get like the $10,000 a month client. They're like, hey, payment sent. Let me know when we
handoff.
can
Yep.
meet.
Yep.
Yeah. You're just like, so I think that is a really great point where there's some really thirsty people that, and quite frankly too, if you're a small shop, one bad client can scuttle the ship, man.
Yeah.
Like
The
they
whole
pay
thing.
late. They
Yep.
bitch about everything. They're going to be bad reviews. Like it's
Yeah.
just over asked. They get
Yeah.
out of scope so quickly. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot. Every single bad client I've had, I wish I would have said no to. Like,
Yes.
like
Well,
flat
and
out.
those bad clients, I think, are probably the majority. 80% of the reason people get burnt out is because they work with bad people.
100%.
Because you don't get really burnt out on things that you enjoy. Because for the majority of us, like, we are multifaceted humans. We have different hobbies that we bring into our lives. And so work is one of our hobbies for a lot of people in the e-com space. So I don't notice people getting burnt out if they're working with good projects and good clients. It's when you bring on someone that just kind of sucks you dry that you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally
It's a
with
big
you.
one.
And I think that's actually really another great point is when you are working with a really vibrant, awesome person, it's almost like energy giving. And it's
Yeah.
like you're waking up and you're excited to do
100%.
great work versus
Yes.
like there's that distinction between get to and have to. Like you want to you want to get away from the have tos as much as
Yes.
possible and then get into the get tos where it's like, man,
Yeah.
I get to work with this client. I get to build this strategy out. I get
Yeah.
like the excitement's there. I love that. What do you think the biggest mistakes people make when hiring freelancers are, or like what are kind of some mistakes you've seen in the past?
I would say some of the bigger mistakes that I've seen is people expecting that a freelancer to be a one-person entire marketing department.
Yeah.
And this has happened to me multiple times where just because I have experience in it doesn't necessarily mean I'm the best person for this job. And that's really interesting from a freelancer's perspective to say, I'm not good at everything. I want to say I'm good at everything because it gets more clients into my books, but I'm just not. Like I have, over the course of 10, 15 years, I've figured out what I am good at. And now I'm to the point where I've been able to tell people, like, I'm really sorry, that's just not in my wheelhouse. I don't know how to do that, or I'm skilled at it, but I'm not an expert. And I think we need to be very careful about hiring people because in a business sense, we don't hire a CEO who's also the janitor, like, that doesn't necessarily make sense. Now, that doesn't mean the CEO shouldn't know how to do a janitor's job, but
Sure.
that's a whole other topic of conversation. But freelancers, they have their one specific thing that they're just so passionate about. Give them the creative freedom to do it because, man, they'll do it extremely well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Get that tattooed on me. That's another. Well, I dealt with it all the time, and just because you can do it shouldn't mean you should offer it as a service. And I found myself that because the other thing is a lot of people want it, don't want to pay for it.
Exactly.
So you're like, okay, you want me to basically be this mini CMO, but you want to compensate me like, paid strategist. It's fine.
Oh my
but
gosh,
like,
yes.
I'm not going to do all this stuff. And then you're going to pay me like that. Like the compensation and the responsibilities need to be aligned. And so I always found that it was like I never tell like family members or not immediate family, obviously, but like extended family that I'm really good at tech. Because you're always like, if something breaks, you're the first phone call. You're like,
Someone's going to call you.
Like, did you turn it on and off again? You didn't. It was just like, why? Don't give me this stress, man. And so
Exactly.
I had a friend of mine. He's a brilliant nutrition guy. He's a PhD nutrition, blah blah blah. But everybody, like, nutrition is always like a kind of hot topic. He's in the fitness space as well. And when he golfs, he actually, speaking of janitor, he tells people he's a janitor because if not, it ends up being like a consulting gig where he's like, dude, I'm just trying to effing golf here. And you guys are talking about like, and there's a certain aspect of like, people pay me money for this and you're trying to get it out of me for free. It gets into some weird spaces.
I can't imagine, how bad it is for the medical field, but it's bad in marketing. I mean, if I tell anybody I'm in marketing, they're like, oh my gosh, I need to sit down and talk with you, which makes sense. They're just trying to build their business. But I'm like, I'm going to start telling people that I am a mom. I'm a mom. Yeah. You can talk to me about diapers and nap time.
Exactly. But yeah, I experienced that as well, where there's a lot of take and a very little give. How do you find clients? What's your best acquisition strategy?
Oddly enough, for a long time, about 7-8 years, I had a really hard time. Like we talked about feast and famine. It was up and down all the time.
Yep.
Until I did something that I hear other people saying you should do, but I never did, which is start putting your work out there.
Yeah.
Shocker. When you start sharing, people start noticing. So
Yeah.
for a long time, I didn't have a website, didn't have an Instagram, didn't have a Facebook. I was like, I don't know
Just
why
rocking
I
it.
can't find clients. Yeah, it just, yeah. And then, oddly enough, it was just early last year. I was like, I'm just going to get on Twitter and see what's on there. It was the one platform I had never really given any thought to because it wasn't a part of my clients' roster of places to market. So I got on Twitter and I just started really, the first person I followed was Nick Shackelford. Like, let's be honest.
Oh,
So
shout out Shack Attack. I love that bromance to the moon.
I'm so excited. I need to meet him pretty soon because he's fantastic. He's like the nicest guy. You can just tell.
He really
Anyway.
is. I'm actually speaking at Geek Out in San Diego.
Yes.
It's a you should go to one of the Geek Outs.
I want to go so
it's
bad.
the best DTC conference. It's very good.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
the best.
I need to get a ticket one of these days because
great people.
Everything I see from him is just so nice. He's just so genuine, just a genuine human.
100%.
And that
100%.
man, there's a reason good marketers are usually genuine humans because that Nick, he's a good guy. But he was the first person that I followed on Twitter, and I just noticed, just kind of kept track of like who was also commenting on his stuff. And so then I started following people like Cody with Jones Road, and then I'd follow, more
also
people.
Gem of a Human.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they're so nice. I'm like, stop it. You guys are so great. But I just started following the roster of like the greats that were on there, and I could just name like hundreds of them. But from there, I was like, I'm just going to start commenting. Like, I have nothing to say because I'm doing lead gen. These guys are in ECOM. We're in totally different worlds. But I just started commenting every single day. I would just, if I had something to say, I said it.
Beautiful.
And then I started kind of sharing the stuff that I was already creating, specifically the creative part of it. So a lot of the stuff that I was doing last year was static related because UGC actually wasn't all that big last year. Mm-hmm. It just started getting big kind of towards like the end of the summer, Black Friday into there, and then it just exploded. But what I was doing was mostly static. So I just posted one or two at a time and people started commenting. And then from there, it was really nice. I had a lot of people from kind of the guru crowd started to follow me, and it just kind of snowballed, like just more and more and more and more. And it was super fun to watch, but also very terrifying because I had never put myself out there ever. I had never shared anything that I had designed, mostly because like as an early young freelancer, you're not sure what's allowed. Can I share this?
Sure.
Am I allowed to? Because it's technically owned by that company. Yeah. So this was a first for me, but man, it just exploded. Yeah. Share what you got.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And I'm similar vein where I'd always been kind of a little social butterfly, but I never actually gave Twitter kind of any kind of, and then I came on like 2 years ago, and it has been just, that's how I got my job at Triple. That's how I've met like all these incredible people. It's kind of what was the joke? Like Facebook was the people that you went to high school with, and Twitter is the people you want to hang out with.
100%.
And it's absolutely true.
Oh my gosh,
like,
I love that.
There's just so much. Especially, I think the problem in the way you approach it is perfect, and this is obviously a Twitter problem, but it is an active network. Like it's very hard to be passive on there. Like you have to follow people, you have to comment, you have to like and feed the algorithm to curate for you. But once you do, man, it'll just serve you up heat after heat after heat. It's incredible. And then and then there's all sorts of different pockets too, which is great. There's finance Twitter, there's DTC Twitter, there's all these other like little pockets of success that and it's even crazier too when you find, it's almost like when you find that incredible song on Spotify that has like 100 listens, you'll find somebody drop like just an absolute banger of a thread, and you're like, you have 50 people following you. How? You know what I mean? Like there's so many nuggets on there. There's so many nuggets on there. And I love
more
that.
people. Yes. Oh, that place is amazing.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic way to find more clients. That's phenomenal. Okay. Let's see. 2 more questions. When you're kind of measuring your success for your business, is that just monetary? Is it kind of how it impacts your life? How do you think of like your business in terms of success?
I'm kind of a strange person because it originally started about the money because I needed to pay rent. So I was freelancing as fast and as hard as I could for 60, 70-hour work weeks for a long time. And then as soon as I got into my mid-20s, I'm lucky enough my husband works in tech, so he was like, you just do whatever you want. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, if you want to work, like you just decide what you want to do. So it became more about, okay, what do I actually want to participate in? from a
Ooh, I
marketing
love
standpoint,
that.
because I always knew that I loved marketing. I just can't get away from it. Every time I try a different job, I mean, I've been everything, a librarian, a dog groomer, like all kinds of crazy things. Every time I tried something else, it just wasn't for me. I always came back to the marketing piece of it. So I'm lucky enough, very blessed. My husband is like, whatever you want to do, just feel fulfilled and kind of go live your dreams. So it became about building something and contributing to something bigger than myself. And to do that, I had to come to a place of like, you have to be okay with running in circles that are much bigger than you. Because I live in like, Midtown, Fort Collins. Like I drive like, a normal car. Like it just, I feel like I'm a normal person, but I have to start getting comfortable with being known. And that's very difficult, I think, for a lot of freelancers. Because imposter syndrome is a real thing. Like we all get really
Super real
nervous
thing.
about like, is this okay? Like, are people accepting me? We're super concerned about it. Very normal human behavior. But for me, that's what it's come down to. I want to contribute to something bigger than myself. And I also need to be comfortable with being known because I haven't been for a long, long time. So those two things are kind of the biggest on my roster. I don't really care whether or not I'm influential. I just kind of want to be best friends with Nick. I want to be best friends with you. I want to be best friends with Cody.
Love
Just
it.
because, like, just in case you guys need something, like, talk to Sarah. And that helps my business as well,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's brilliant. I mean, it's beautifully put. And the faster you can unlink from the economics, I think the better. Obviously, you do what you need to do when you need to do it. But when you can decouple the economics from kind of your goals, I think it can get into some really interesting places for sure.
100%.
Oh my gosh, you made it to the rapid fire. Sarah, I love you, but it's game time. Are you ready?
Okay, I hope so. Yes.
Okay. The Dewey Decimal System, overrated, underrated.
Oh my gosh.
You're a librarian. I didn't even know you were a librarian.
Oh, I used to be a librarian for a long time,
Incredible.
actually, for like 3-4 years.
How incredible.
Underrated, man. Everybody should have some sort of Dewey Decimal System for everything in their house. Everything should just be like put a number on it and categorize it and stick it where it's supposed to go. I can't tell you how many times I get frustrated looking in the library line and finding a number out of place. It just like instant anxiety. Yes.
Nails on the chalkboard.
Underrated. Nails on chalkboard.
Underrated.
Yep.
Let's go, Dewey. The kids won't understand it, but
No.
we get it. We get it. Freelancing, overrated, underrated.
Oh, it depends on the person. I'm going to say overrated.
Ooh, I love it.
Unless you're a very specific type of person. I hope that doesn't come across as bad, but yeah.
No. I'm just a witness in your world. These answers are sensational. Garden of the Gods, overrated or underrated?
Oh my gosh, underrated. Have you ever been there?
Oh yeah. I'm a big outdoors guy. I love Colorado.
Yes.
I love I'm all
100%.
about the camping and getting out and hiking, and it's really pretty. And
if you're gonna go there,
it's fairly accessible.
It is. It's like a super quick drive from Denver, at least. From here, it's like 4 hours. But if you're going to go there, you also have to go to the Cave of the Winds. Giant
I have
cave.
not done that.
Go to the Cave of the Winds.
Man.
Giant cave. They take you in there.
Robin.
It's so deep that they have a section of it that they'll turn off the lights and show you what the dead silence and dark sounds like in there. If you don't like tight spaces and dark, don't go. But it is like the most silent silence you'll ever hear. It's so
Oh my gosh.
It's very deep.
Oh my gosh, I got to do this. There is actually, speaking of silence, there is a thermo. I can't remember what that barometric. I can't remember the fancy word, but basically a really big thing underneath in Minnesota. That for people that don't know, your hearing is actually it attenuates the sounds around you, and so if there's less sound, it gets more sensitive.
Yeah.
And so I think the longest somebody's been in there is like 3 or 4 minutes because it's so quiet that you end up being able to like hear your blood flow and like your heartbeat and like all this kind of creepy stuff.
There's just no way.
But
I don't know.
Cave of the Wind. I need to do that. Okay, it's on the list. Working from home, overrated, underrated.
Oh, underrated. Oh gosh, everybody should work from home.
Even with the kiddos.
Even with the kids, because your home life is a part of your business life. Like what you feel at home, you're going to put into your business. So if you can spend more time cultivating what's here, it's going to leak into and increase the viability of what's out there. Underrated.
Dropping heat. UGC, overrated or underrated?
Underrated. This is all of these are going to be underrated. UGC is one of the most powerful marketing forms I've ever come across. And I've had a lot of years of practicing and kind of delving into a ton of different things. UGC though is amazing. It's hard to explain, mostly because to the layman person, it looks so natural. It's just somebody on camera.
Yeah.
But there is no better way to help a human understand and realize for themselves what a product will do without seeing it on somebody else's face. So yeah, use it. If you haven't tried it, use it. UGC is so, so big for sure.
Brilliant. TikTok, overrated, underrated?
I want to say overrated.
We got it overrated out of you. We got it. It's hot. Sarah Levenger hot take. Overrated, huh? Okay.
I think it's a little overrated because it's new. Every single platform that pops up, people are like, this is the platform. And you're like, well, that's what you said 5 years ago about Instagram, you know? So I'm going to say overrated for now. I do think I'm just a consumer of TikTok, like a couple hours a day. So, but yeah, it's a good resource for anybody, a freelancer, especially if you want to learn how to make UGC, go to TikTok and see what the actual creators are doing, like what the people are doing, because that's where you learn. Go to where the source is.
IG Reels, overrated, underrated?
Ooh, these are underrated, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Everybody kind of moved to TikTok because it was so new and it's kind of the hip thing to do nowadays. But IG Reels, they've done a pretty decent job about understanding where their place in line is. You know, they kind of stay in their own lane. And once you nail it on IG Reels, you can see some insane results from that thing. So yeah, go to IG Reels.
I love it. Yeah, I've found myself, it definitely boosts my usage where, you know, they slide them into the main feed and then you fall down kind of almost that TikTok rabbit hole, but on Insta. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm still on Instagram. This is crazy. But like you're watching stuff. Yeah, they've done a decent job of that.
It's awesome.
Favorite DTC brand?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you put me on the spot. Right now, my favorite DTC brand is probably Magic Spoon. I've been posting a lot about this on Twitter right now, just because I'm a cereal buff. Any food, if you're a DTC brand and you're looking for someone to do UGC for food, I am your girl, because I love food in just ridiculous amounts. And Magic Spoon is really interesting too, because their product is just a really good product, but their ads are like next level. Oh, yeah, they're so fantastic. They're doing a great job over there.
Their branding is sensational. I'm a big Magic Spoon guy as well. Favorite thing to do in Colorado? Oh
man, there's so many. I'm a hiking girl. I mean, you could go skiing. You could, do all kinds of different things. Snowboarding, you know, snowshoeing we've yet to try, which is sad because I've lived here for so long and I still haven't tried it. Mm-hmm. Hiking though, there's really, really good hiking here. There's a lot of 14ers that you can climb up that are pretty intense ones, but there's some good ones for families as well. So yeah, all about the hiking, man. We're so close to mountains. Why not?
Love it. For the people that don't know, 14ers is a reference to the altitude. So you're going to bag a 14,000 or higher peak.
Big mountain, man. Big one.
Big. Yeah, I love it. Favorite way to take coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You don't drink coffee?
I do not.
Kill my assistant. She's killing me. I have her stock all of my guests and unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So I do not drink coffee. For some reason, even decaf coffee gives me like the jitters. I don't know what it is. I'm like super sensitive to caffeine. Tea. I drink green tea with usually like 2 tablespoons of soy milk and some stevia.
Boom. There you go, people. No coffee. Unbelievable, Selena. Unbelievable. She's going to get a talking to. Favorite meal and why?
Oh, gosh. I'm a big pasta person. So we actually make homemade pasta. We don't do like box pasta anymore because it's so easy to, once you know how to make it, it's so easy to make. So, and my 4-year-old loves to make it because he gets the little press thing and like squish it all down in there. So usually homemade pasta and meatballs is a go-to.
Ooh,
I'm an Italian.
Yeah. Solid.
100% Italian.
Solid. I love it. Favorite place to travel to and why?
New Zealand. 100%. Ooh. If you have not been to New Zealand, go to New Zealand. You will feel like you're in the Lord of the Rings everywhere you go.
Did you like Auckland or more of the South Island?
We went the whole thing. We did North Island and South Island in 2 weeks, and it was rough. Like you had to keep traveling fast. So we started at Titicaca up at the top, which was some amazing snorkeling and scuba diving. If you guys like scuba diving, that's the place to go. Yeah. We went
Atta
down to
girl.
Auckland. Auckland has some amazing like vegan vegetarian restaurants. That
Okay.
city is super vibrant. Everybody in Auckland, I love you. Like, please invite me back. Then we went down from there into, gosh, I can't remember the name of the town, but they have those Zorbs things. There's these giant inflatable balls that you climb into, and they shove you down a hill. Oh, it was so expensive to do it, but it was so much fun. We did it twice, and I was like, can I buy one? Where do I get one of these?
Oh my gosh.
It was so fun. And then we ended up in Queenstown, and we got to go see Milford Sound. And
that's supposed to be the move, right?
Life-changing. I mean, you can't.
The fjords and everything.
Yes.
Just,
your eyes just go like, this is a postcard. It's not real. New Zealand.
It's amazing.
Go if you can.
I have to go there. Small, tiny digression because I don't want to derail your rapid fire, but we have Zorbing out here in Texas. It's kind of like out in the middle of there.
Do you really?
Well, it's two. Was it the double with you guys with the Zorb, or was it one person? Yeah,
it was a double one.
Oh my gosh. So this is terrible that I'm making fun of this, but it's just such a hilarious story. So there was a guy and the girl, and we were sitting there. I actually went with my sister. And for people who don't know or are just listening, like a Zorb is basically this huge inflatable ball, and they basically strap you in looking at each other, and you just kind of roll and roll and roll.
They just shove you down a hill.
His girlfriend or significant other, what have you, is just basically having a nervous breakdown, like, no, I don't want to do it, freaking out, blah, blah, blah. And then he finally convinces her. They get him put in there, and then they have a gate, right? Because it's down a hill, and they have a gate. When they push the Zorb, somehow it catches a piece of the gate, deflates it, and in like 3 turns, they're just like smashing on top of each other. I shouldn't be laughing. Nobody got hurt, but like it was like this girl was absolutely petrified, and then like the worst thing that could have happened to her. Anyways, it was every time I hear of Zorbing, all I can think about is that where we just could not stop laughing. It's terrible, but everybody was okay. But it was just the irony of life.
You promised it was gonna be okay.
Oh, it's too good. It's too good. Okay, a few more questions and we'll wrap up. Favorite way to spend your time?
Reading, 100% reading all day long. Yep. I feel bad. I'm not a very exciting person. People always ask, what do you do for fun? I read and read and read. Most of the time it's a textbook, something about neuroscience, psychology, or behavior, consumerism.
Ooh, I love that. Those are all my jams as well. That's fantastic. 2 peas in the pod, you and I. Favorite follow on Twitter? Favorite follow? Like favorite follower? Like no, favorite follow. The favorite person you follow on Twitter. Oh gosh. Let me think. Honestly, gosh, there's so many that I follow. I keep bringing up Cody's name, but I really like Cody from Jones Road because he's not afraid to get a little aggressive with things. Oh, he's Jersey boy. I'm East Coasters. I don't know if you know East Coast people, but he always comes back and he's like, I'm sorry if it came across weird. I just thought that this is what you meant. He clarifies a lot. The guy's got great communication skills. He's the only one I see though that's you're wrong and this is why. You know. Yeah. And it's people are trying so hard nowadays not to. I just don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to shake things, especially for somebody who's very new in the space. But he's very polarizing, and I like that about him. He's super into what he does. Very smart man. So yeah, Cody. I like what you're doing, Cody. Keep doing it. Shout out Cody P. And he has a fantastic newsletter as well. We'll drop a link in there also. Yeah. He's a good dude. Fantastic. He's a friend, a triple friend of mine. Great guy. We actually have a podcast together. Me, him, another and Ash. One. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Another one. Baby. I need to meet Cody. One. Yep. He's good. I'll intro you. I'll DM you guys. I'll hook you up. He's a really good dude. Really. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. Just so affable and really good dude. Yeah. Does have a little bit of the Jersey boy in him where he'll come across a little. No, I do too. But some people can kind of have a little bit different barometer. But he really is just the sweetest human. He's a really good dude. Okay, last question, and then you'll make it through the rapid fire gauntlet. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, who would they be? So you're at a 4-person table. You're sitting at the head. You can invite 3 people to dinner. Who would they be? Jon Stewart. Oh, yes. Gosh. Jon Stewart. If I can I want to sit and talk to you for 10 minutes because you're just so cool. John Oliver. Shocking. 2 Johns. And oh my gosh. This is the Daily Show alum here. Probably Barack Obama. I just want to see what his experience was like. Yeah. Mostly because there's a ton of different people who used to be presidents, but his was very unique, so. Yeah, a president and 2 people from the Daily Show. Yeah, 2-term president. I love it. Sarah, You made it. I should have known. You Colorado girls are tough. Well, adopted Colorado girl, but from Bama. The South is also still tough. I knew you were going to make it through the rapid fire. You did amazing.
It was fun. That was awesome.
This time is yours. Tell people how to follow you. How can they get more involved? How can they work with you? Let us know.
Right now, currently, I'm doing a ton of research in behavior consumerism. So if you're like a DTC brand, if you're in the e-com industry, if you're working with anything that goes to consumers, I am your girl if you want to find out what your consumers are actually thinking from a psychological standpoint. And that goes deeper than just social proof or anything about authority. I'm going into things that are much more suited to finding out what drives your people from like an interior perspective. Are they into things that are, I don't know, about their safety, things that are about finding love, things that are about feeling accepted? These are the type of things that I'm kind of drawing up in my research. A lot of stuff that I'm doing is related to creative and UGC specifically. So I am still focused on the e-com industry, but I like behavior consumerism. So if that interests you at all, I am over on Twitter all day long. That's the one thing that I do teeny tiny little blocks all day long for so that I can answer people's questions. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter, at Sarah Levenger. And let's work together.
I love it. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time. This was just such a fun pod. And thank you. Cave of the Winds. I got a boom. I can't believe I've never even done that. It's just incredible. I'm losing my outdoorsman badges here. Well, folks, that's 26 in the books. Thank you so much for stopping in. If you do want to get more involved with Triple Whale, we are trytriplewhale.com. We are Triple Whale on the Bird app. And then we also have a sensational publication that goes out every Tuesday, Thursday called Whale Mail. You can sign up right on our Twitter profile at Triple Whale. Sarah, again, thank you so much. Keep on keeping on. You're one of my favorite follows right now, and you're just really taking to Twitter, and it's been really cool to see how you've blossomed on there. Especially too, I didn't realize you were such a young up and comer in terms of Twitter. So that's fantastic. And if you guys want to work with her more, do it. She's a killer, and we'll drop some links in there so you can get in touch with her or just slide into them DMs on Twitter. 26 in the books, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks again, Sarah. We'll see everyone on the flip.